What you're looking at on your screen is the Cardano chart on the weekly time frame, a massive bullish pattern here playing out, a falling wedge, making lower lows and lower highs. Now, we know what falls must break up probability-wise, and this one's got a measured move to $1.40 plus, but it's not just a weekly. The daily is showing strength as well, a massive bullish pattern on the daily also. And I'll tell you what that is and what that measured move is going to look like in a second. That's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Talk about price action, charts, throw a little price prediction up there. When's it going to get to $1.40? When's it going to get to $2? What's the cycle top? We'll talk about all of that. We'll also talk about midnight, the glacier drop. We'll talk about Rare Evo, what Charles Hoskinson is saying, and some of the exciting things that we can expect from Cardano land in just a few short weeks, like 2-3 weeks until Rare Evo is here. So with that being said, like the video and let's get started. I want to start here. This is posted by Ian McRae, State of the Network, July 2025, and network in reference to midnight. So the one everyone's been waiting on is the glacier drop. As Charles has said, the largest economic, what did he call it? The largest economic event in Cardano's history. Here's some key info. The snapshot of eligible addresses was already taken on June 11th. Okay, so if you're scrambling to buy Merida, well, you should scramble to buy Merida if it's well within your reach and your goals of your portfolio. I believe everyone should have some ADA in their portfolio. But the snapshot's already been taken. Holders of tokens from 8 ecosystems are eligible. This includes Cardano, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, BNB, Avalanche, and BAT. Basic attention token. You might be saying, well, what the hell is BAT doing in here? Why not have, I don't know, Hedera in here or Stellar in here? Well, BAT, Brave Browser, been working with Cardano and Charles with Brandon Eichmann or Brandon, whatever. The gentleman that founded Brave Browser, let me know his name correctly in the comment section or else I'm going to look like a complete idiot. You also have, so that's phase 1, okay? Phase 2 is what they're calling the scavenger mine. Specialized computing equipment is not required, so anyone could participate here as far as my understanding and the information I have up to date at the recording of this video. And then phase 3 is going to be lost and found, but the glacier drop will run for 60 days, scavenger mine will run for 30 days, and then we enter into the lost and found to where there's still going to be some out there. If you find it, you keep it. Finders, keepers. There's a part here about the dApps, the different people they're working with, where they're at their ecosystem. One thing I do have highlighted, the next opportunity for builders is the Mini dApp Virtual Hackathon. This event focuses on creating small, polished prototypes that highlight a single, clear, and creative slice of a dApp. That is going to be happening. Submissions are open until August 18th, with winners announced on the 25th of the same month, August. I do want to scroll down here. I thought I had more things highlighted. I guess I didn't. But I will post the link to this in the description of the video. If you want to take a deeper dive into the state of the network for midnight, feel free to do so. That link will be in the description of the video. Now I want to go to a video or audio of Charles Hoskinson on a Spaces talking about what's coming up and specifically mentioning Rare Evo. Let's take a listen.
But I did want to drop in, just say I'm a big fan of World Mobile and love what they're doing, and also a big fan of Rare Evo. Y'all need to go. I'll be there. We got a lot of people coming. Over 110 input-output employees are coming to Rare Evo. So it's one of our largest events we've done since 2022, 2021, excuse me, when we did the summit over in Wyoming. And we got a lot of really cool announcements, a lot of really cool things, some midnight news that I think people are going to be very happy about. We got some cool stuff with Quantum Hosky, some cool stuff with Lace. We also brought a lot of workshops and governance groups there. There's a workshop on the Cardano Sovereign Wealth Fund. There's a workshop on the budget process and potentially constitutional upgrades to Cardano. There's going to be a lot of discussions around the 2026 roadmap and also the introduction of executive function to the Cardano ecosystem, so that we can move a little bit faster and more deliberately than we have after getting Voltaire out.
So that's interesting, right? A lot of people, and I'm not saying I share the sentiment, but a lot of people's frustration or kind of issues they've had with not just Charles, but Cardano is the speed at which they move. I will say they do move slow, but guess what? Everything they roll out goes pristinely perfectly. The network has never been down in 8 years. You don't hear the issues when it did have degradation of the validators of the nodes. everything worked fine. No one needed to jump in and restart the blockchain. But it's interesting to hear him say, we're going to work to move faster. So those of you that are saying, it's too slow, guess that's a little bit of good news for you.
There's going to be people there talking about Laos, people there talking about Hydra. We have some really cool things with Hydra in the physical world, entering the vending machine space, ATM space, and point of sale space. And we have some exhibits that I think people are going to be blown away by. But Rare Evo has really become kind of the unofficial Cardano conference. And what's cool about it is Cardano's moving from one chain to multi-chains, with Midnight connecting to 8 different ecosystems and 37 million people. And with Bitcoin DeFi, when you look at Cardano, now when you talk Cardano, you're talking Cardano and Bitcoin and Cardano and Ethereum and Cardano and Solana. And so that's really Rare Evo in a sense. It started as a Cardano event, but now it's become a multi-chain event. But everybody's welcome, and they're really talking about how do we use these unique technologies together as one to solve a problem. So it's no longer my token's better than your token. It's, hey, our ecosystems each do different things, and when you put them together, then you can solve a hard problem.
I love the collaborative approach. And so shout out to Charles for reaching across the aisle, working with the likes of Solana and Hedera and everyone else he mentioned. And then speaking of Rare Evo, guys, my favorite event of the year, there is a link to save some money in the description of this video. And if you're a Nevada license holder, you get it for free. Use the code SINCITYCOMP, SINCITYCOMP, all one word, and you'll get your tickets for absolutely free. Now, don't try to pimp the system, because they're going to ask you for your ID at the door. And if you don't have a Nevada ID, you will have to pay to get in. And so, but if you're a Vegas local, let's say you live up in Reno, Nevada, I don't know, one of the interesting parts of Nevada where some things are legal that nowhere else is legal. If you have a Nevada license, you get it for free. Links in the description of the video. Now, let's get back to the chart. I mentioned weekly falling wedge. Let's measure this move here, okay? We kind of take the middle, we measure the width, and we take it to where it breaks out. And well, that measured move is $1.42. That's on the weekly time frame. Now, I mentioned the daily has a massive bullish pattern playing out. You essentially had a smaller head and shoulders pattern, or inverse head and shoulders pattern, that broke to the upside. But if we kind of zoom out, you do see, and patterns are in the eye of the beholder, but this, from a technical standpoint, is considered a larger head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders pattern. Now, although it's minute, the depth of the head is larger, slightly larger, or goes deeper than that left shoulder, which is what you want to see. Now, the question then becomes, how deep does this right shoulder go? And we can do a few things. Let's go ahead and hide this inverse head and shoulders. And let's go ahead and measure. Let's say this thing breaks out as a flag. Let's draw our Fibonacci retracements. So we've already breached our 236 level. The next level, which I do see from my history of charting bull flag patterns, is we do see the breakout after we get a bounce on our 50% retracement level, which again is 73.90 cents. So from where we are now, and I'm not saying this is absolutely going to happen, but another 10% move to the downside, and we should see a bounce there. That's the first move. The second move is if this candle ends up just being a nasty wick, we reclaim our 236 level, which is currently sitting at 84.52 cents. We could see a breakout happen from there for this inverse head and shoulders pattern on ADA. And let's go ahead and bring this back up, and we'll go ahead and measure the move of what it would look like. Let's say it does get to that 50% retracement level, breaks out there. We see a little bit of consolidation, push back to the upside. The measured move, you measure the depth of the head, you take it to that neckline, and that measured move on the daily brings us to around $1.33. So $1.33 to $1.42 is what we're looking at. Now, what's the time horizon? I would say anytime between the next 2 to 6 weeks. I know that's pretty broad. But if this plays out like we have it on the screen here, you're looking at a breakout somewhere around August 11th. On the weekly, we don't know how much deeper, right? Because if we were to extend this out, not saying it's going to happen, but this thing can go as deep as the end of the year into next year. Again, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but a lot harder to tell when is this thing going to break out? Now, I will say a pattern within the pattern is this W, okay? Bullish pattern on the W should help with the break to the upside. So as far as price prediction, $1.33 to $1.42, we get there within the next 2 to 6 weeks. Overall, I'm still in the $7 to $10 camp for ADA. I do want to see Bitcoin DeFi ramp up. I do want to see Leos come. I do want to see Midnight be a success. I think all those things need to happen, and I think retail needs to come in some sorts to really push Cardano to that $7 to $10 level. Hope you enjoy the content. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and come check out our live show Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Till the next one. Peace.